All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the newest edition of the Higher Education Subcommittee. Today's Monday, February the 26th. We do have a calendar in front of us. Madam Clerk, would you please go ahead and take the roll?
Representatives Baum.
Here.
Butler.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Haston.
Here.
Love. Parkinson. Chairman White.
Here.
Chairman Lafferty.
Here.
Chairman Yepcorm.
Thank you very much. Members, any personal orders? Anybody want to recognize any friends, family? All right, seeing none, we'll move on down the line. We've got about 9 bills on the calendar today. Item number 2 on the calendar is going to be rolled 1 week. Next item we will address quickly is item number 5. Item number 5 is going to be rolled to the lottery calendar. Next up, item number 6, House Bill 1912, is also going to be rolled to the lottery calendar. Also, item number 7, play catch up here. Item number 7 will also be rolled to the lottery calendar. Item number 8, House Bill 2179, going to the lottery calendar. All right. Finally here, we've got House Bill 2287. Make sure I've got this right. Yes, 2287 is going to be rolled 2 weeks. All right. The housekeeping is done. Let's get back to the top of the calendar. Item number 1 by Chairman Reagan, House Bill 2346. Members, do I have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Chairman Reagan, sir, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And committee members, despite the length of this bill, what it does is very simple. It sets up a stopgap, which in fact is the THEC stopgap bill, so that if any board of trustees for any of our locally governed institutions should not be available, as in vacated, THEC would step in temporarily to fill that gap until such time as the board is reappointed. I can go into a lot of detail on that if you want to, but if you'll flip to page 3 of your bill, you'll see the 3 paragraphs, A, B, and C, that address most of what your concerns would be. In other words, all the promulgated rules that are in effect when THEC takes over remain in effect. All the policies, procedures, and guidelines that were in effect when THEC takes over remain in effect. And on the reconstitution of the governing board of trustees for the state universities, everything that was in effect stays in effect until such time as the board is able to function completely. Now, there's a lot of other whereases and therefores and associated things that go into it, but that's the guts of the bill, and I stand ready to answer questions.
Thank you for that explanation, Mr. Chairman. It does appear that we have an amendment going with this.
Yes, that's Amendment 13453.
That is what we have. Thank you very much. Members, let's go ahead and add that amendment if nobody's objecting. Got a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor of adding Amendment 13453 to the bill, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? The ayes have it. All right, so the amendment.
And I
is on the
apologize, I
bill.
gave you the explanation from the amendment.
Not a problem, sir. Members, do we have any questions about the bill for our sponsor? Chairman White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Quickly, so without such a bill as this, where would we be if a board is vacated?
The board would be basically ungoverned. If the board is not there, the sole governing power would be the president of the university. If the president of the university and the board were not there, it would be completely ungoverned. So this is a necessity for such a circumstance, and it applies to any of our locally governed institutions.
Thank you for that. Any further questions, members? We do have someone in the audience that would like to speak about the bill. We're going to go out of session for just a few minutes, and we're going to invite, we're out of session. Dr. Contessa Hathaway, if you'd like to come forward, please. And you look like you have some experience with this. It's carrying yourself like a pro. Uh, welcome to the club. When you're ready, please check your microphone in front of you. Make sure that the red light is on. Little red light.
There we go.
All right. And if you would, go ahead and introduce yourself. And if you're with any particular organization, who you're with, then please proceed. And if you can, please keep it to about 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Quintessa Hathaway. I am a native of Nashville, Tennessee. I am also here present today to speak with you all regarding HB 2346 and to give a credible statement regarding such. I am also a businesswoman, a successful businesswoman. I own a self-titled business and consultancy, but that's just a smidgen of what I'd like to present to you all today. The Higher Education Committee members, I would like to thank Chairman Lafferty for the opportunity for me to be able to speak today. Some of you all that are present or those that may not be present today, Representative Baum, Representative Butler, Representative Gillespie, Representative Haston, Representative Love Jr., Representative Parkins' son, and Representative White. Also, there are some other committees that I'd like to express at this time as well. Senate Education Committee, Chair Lundberg, Vice Chair Powers, Second Vice Chair Akbari, Senator Crow, Senator Gardenhire, Senator Hale, Senator Hensley, Senator Prodi, and Senator White, as well as Senate Government Operations Committee members, Chair Roberts, Vice Chair Jackson, Senate Vice Chair Bowling, again, Senator Crow, Senator Kyle, Senator Lowe, Senator Oliver, Senator Rose, Senator Tyler, as well as all members of the House Standing Committee on Government Operations, most specifically as well, Chair Reagan and Vice Chair Reedy. As I stated, my name is Dr. Quintessa Hathaway. I am a native of Nashville, Tennessee, and an alumna of Tennessee State University, where I attained my terminal degree. I was the 2022 Democratic nominee for Arkansas' 2nd Congressional District. As I expressed previously, I'm an entrepreneur of an education and business consultancy firm. I came today to speak in those capacities, as well as a community member and someone who is seeking to be a bridge builder among the state legislature, the governor, and the renowned Tennessee State University. Currently, the state legislature has bills and amendments before it which will impact the trajectory of Tennessee State University for years to come. We must reimagine this as an opportunity for the 113th General Assembly and the 50th Governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, government officials, and the institution to be placed on higher ground. What sits before us at this time is on or about June 30th, 2024, the Board of Trustees will be terminated. The current issue at hand are HB 1739, SB 1596, and HB 2346, SB 2109 to whether renew or extend the board, structure a new one, and create a mechanism for the management and governance function of local government and board of trustees for a state university to be transformed and assumed by the commission at the event of the state university board ceases to exist. I suggest that Tennessee State needs a new accountability system and a bold ambition vision for the future. Some are framing this dissolution of the Board of Trustees as a racial issue and an infringement on the institution. A similar takeover occurred with the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I suggest that new leadership is needed to see the institution through unprecedented challenges and to inspire hope. The institution must expand its programs and transition to more degree offerings that generate economic growth for the greater metropolitan Nashville community, the state, and beyond. What that looks like is partnering with local and state government entities and officials, as well as the public and private sector, to move the institution to greater economic feasibility.
Dr. Hathaway, I'm sorry, if you could please, we're exceeded the 3 minutes. If you could please try and close this up quickly. Thank you, ma'am.
We must work in partnership with one another to create new solutions to present problems. In the spirit of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 18, come now and let us reason together. Let us reason together in order to expand, enhance, and enrich Tennessee State University. Every person gathered in this body, the legislature, the governor, and the Tennessee State University have one objective in mind, and that is to cultivate an educational system, an ecosystem that empowers and inspires a generation of change makers, public servants, and productive citizens who accomplish remarkable results in our state, nation, and abroad. That also looks like increasing the overall endowment to $500 million, as well as a complete review of the tenure process that is performance-based in nature. The legislature, the governor, Tennessee State University can advance its agenda, goals, and objectives and envision a new in an actionable manner by giving me a seat at the table. This situation is so sensitive that it needs a spokesperson in an official capacity, appointed, someone who is credible, a peacemaker, and has the political and educational acumen to build a coalition and consensus with a twist on our state slogan, for we are all Tennesseans, America at its best. And it is the mantra of Tennessee State University. Let us think together, let us work together, let us serve together. For we are at our best when we think, work, and serve while loving and lifting the community.
Ms. Hathaway, excuse me, we've gone well over our 3 minutes now. Thank you for your words, and I think a lot of what you've included there, a lot of us agree with. Questions for our presenter? Representative Parkinson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry, I walked in on I guess the latter half of what you were saying. Give me the gist of what you're saying and what's your ask? What are you asking us?
As well as Tennessee State University, because of my professional experiences and also being, like I stated, a native of Nashville, Tennessee, I think this situation requires a unique solution as we transition and transform Tennessee State to higher ground.
Okay.
Follow up?
Yeah, and thank you. And are you here on behalf? Who are you here on behalf of? Let me ask that.
Of myself, and
Mhm.
also, as I said, I'm a consultant of Q Hathaway and Associates LLC. We're a national business and education consultancy firm.
Okay, and my last question, Mr. Chair, have you talked to all of the parties involved in regards to your request? And I don't know, that's why I'm asking. In regards to what you're asking us here today.
I have had a conversation. Chair Lafferty and I had a conversation regarding this on last week. I've also reached out to Representative Love's office about this situation actually back in December of 2023, but I've yet to receive a response. That is the extent of me speaking with any of the stakeholders.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. You mind?
Please.
The governor's office, Tennessee State University, anybody, you talk to them also?
I have not had an opportunity to speak with Tennessee State University, but they are in the lineup for me to do so.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you for that. Any other questions, members? Representative Butler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe I'm missing something, but this particular piece of legislation doesn't list any university. So I'll ask this question. Are you for or against this legislation?
I am in favor of this legislation. The dissolution of the board is something that's happened across several institutions, to the best of my knowledge. So this is not a unique situation specifically to Tennessee State University. It's happened at other state institutions as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions, members? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being here today. Members, we're going to go back into session. Mr. Chairman, do you have any comments?
As a closing comment, I would ask for your support for this and point out again, this is a stopgap measure in case it's the institution that she mentioned or any other of our LGIs is in need of it. With that, I ask for your support.
Okay. Any Representative Parkinson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Sponsor. I'm sorry for getting here a little late. And so what we're doing with this bill, well, let me let you explain it. I don't want to explain it from my words, if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
Okay, in a nutshell, what this bill does is for a university that has its board of trustees vacated, this provides for THEC to fill in the gap until a new board of trustees is appointed. And it sets in place all the things that has to happen to avoid conflicts of interest and all the other magic stuff that's covered in all the pages in there. But in a nutshell, it's basically there as a stopgap measure until such time as new trustees and leadership are in place.
Representative Parkinson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And in our history, have we ever had a board vacated?
Well, an example was just mentioned to you, but that wasn't LGI. The LGIs have only been in existence since the Focus Act, and that was 2016. In that length of time, we have not.
You're recognized.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. But prior to that, we've had a board vacated?
To my knowledge, we've not had any state-sponsored universities so done, but there's been other institutions that have.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Members, any other questions?
I got one more question. I'm sorry. Thank you.
It's all right.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you,
time.
Frank. So is there a sunset clause in this legislation by chance?
As in, I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Does this legislation sunset at all, or is it just for perpetuity until we decide to undo the legislation?
The legislation will be on the books for as long as it's needed.
Okay.
There isn't a expiration date on it.
Okay. And one last question. Was this legislation specifically drafted for Tennessee State University?
It was drafted with Tennessee State University in mind, but not specifically for Tennessee State University. It applies to all of the LGIs, locally governed institutions.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Anyone else? No? All right, members, I guess we're ready to vote. All those in favor of passing House Bill, I've lost my place here. House Bill 2376.
46.
Oh, sorry, 2346. 2346, yes. In favor of passing 2346, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we'll move out to Education Administration.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman.
Next up on our list, I'm skipping around too much paper here today. Next up on our list, we're going to jump to item number 3, House Bill 1809 by Representative Davis. Members, do I have a chorus? We have motion, we have a second. Representative Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee. The Tennessee Promise Program provides financial assistance to associate degree educational opportunities for an abundance of Tennessee students. This is perfect for those students who are seeking a traditional educational route. However, there are other students who have aspirations and aptitudes that lend themselves to a more hands-on or non-traditional pathway. There are students who seek opportunity in careers in trade occupations that come in the form of certificates of completion and state licensure and don't necessarily stem from an associate's degree. This includes personal services industries such as hairdressing, barbering, massage, and skincare, as well as other service-based careers. And these career paths are widely accessed by women and other disadvantaged populations. By expanding the eligibility requirements for post-secondary institutions in a cautious and measured way, as to include private trade schools that offer certificates of completion for state licensure purposes and who are also accredited to participate in the federal student aid program via additional accreditation bodies beyond just ACCCS, and non-traditional students would be able to access and leverage the Tennessee Promise Program to complete their post-secondary education and transition to a fulfilling and rewarding career, just as the same as traditional education seekers. And so that's what this legislation, the intent and the purpose of, is to do, is to allow for that trade of cosmetology, osteology, and barbering, which uses the National Accrediting Commission of Career and Art Sciences to be able to access and be able to have those students utilize those Tennessee Promise dollars. And so I stand ready for any questions.
Thank you for that description. Members, do we have any questions? Chairman Baum, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Lafferty. And I guess I want to clarify, maybe remind me, currently Tennessee Promise dollars cannot be used by private for-profit institutions. Is that right?
You're recognized.
As I understand it, there are some exceptions to that. I believe that South College is an example. That is a private for-profit that is able to access Tennessee Promise dollars. And there probably are some other exceptions as well.
I guess I just want to make sure that we're consistent in how we handle this. It seems like in the past, when we've had exceptions come up, we've maybe veered away from that consistency. I guess I'd want to make sure that we're treating all institutions the same and being consistent and not opening the door for a lot of additional institutions that don't currently meet the requirements to become eligible for Tennessee Promise dollars. There's a finite amount of them, and we have bills that come in front of this committee in the General Assembly or go to a special calendar every year to spend additional Promise dollars. Those dollars are limited, and we want to be good stewards of them. I guess my comment is I want to make sure that we're consistent and that we're using those dollars for what we should, and that we're not spending them so expansively that there really aren't enough to go around.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And in response to that, and I appreciate that, and that's why we carefully tried to tailor this bill to be a very small and finite number, just to ensure that what we were doing did meet the needs of the spirit of Tennessee Promise. One of the things I will mention is that we looked at kind of the return on investment with regard to this, and we understand that for every $1 invested, $10 comes back into the community for these for this trade. And so it's a very promising future that we can give to our not only high schoolers that are coming out, but people in our community that know that they will be able to have a career or have a business. So I applaud you for your wanting to ensure that we're using those dollars wisely. Thank you.
Oh, we've got a follow-up. Representative.
And I just say that because there's several of these kinds of bills that I have plans to vote against, and I want to treat this year, and I want to treat them all equally. I also am aware that we do have a labor shortage. We have certain occupations where we need more workers. I've noticed that you did draw this bill narrowly so that it applies to cosmetology. But it seems like if we were going to begin to open the door, we would find occupations that are in extreme critical need, like nurses or teachers or something like that. I guess I'm wondering where in this list of critical needs would cosmetology fall relative to nurses or some of the other occupations that we hear mentioned frequently.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that is a very critical need, and I appreciate that. We do have TCATs currently that meet some of those nursing programs, and that's one of the things that we invested in to ensure that some of those trades and some of those skilled workers, they're going to meet that need. Unfortunately, this falls outside of that because of the accreditation, because the way that it is accredited. Since it uses that National Accrediting Commission of Arts and Sciences, it's not able to fall under that Tennessee Promise, whereas other trades can. And so that's where we're wanting to try to look and make sure that we are. Now, in terms of essential services, when I had to cut my husband's hair during COVID, I believe he would say that they were an essential service.
Representative Baum, you good? All right. Representative Parkinson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the sponsors, they actually were deemed an essential service, literally. But I will in response to my colleague, who I think the world of, I'm not going to call your name, but I will point at you rudely, right? I apologize. So when we talk about in demand services or occupations, we can look at that from a couple of different vantage points. One is we can look at it as in where there's a shortage of individuals that provide those services, and I can qualify that. I can tell you now, in most of our TCATs, there are waiting lists for people to get into their cosmetology programs and their barbering programs. The other way we can look at what we would consider, critical or needed is the level of economy that's produced by the industry. And I can tell you that the cosmetology industry is $1 billion industry, and it's producing millions and millions of dollars and millions of jobs, in our state. And so I'm supportive of the representative's bill. And I will say also, I believe Moore Tech is another one of those colleges, private colleges, that taps into these funds. And I think South College got in, and there may be some others that are trying to get in. And I respect your position on your being fair to all of them and voting no against them. But but I am a little biased when it comes to us, putting more professional stylists and barbers and estheticians and others into our economy, because it's a booming economy that a lot of us have not really recognized the value that they bring to the Tennessee economy. So I appreciate the bill, and I'm going to vote for it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for those comments, sir. Next up, we've got Chairman White.
Thank you, Chairman. And to Representative Baum's comment, which is why we created the lottery calendar, so we wouldn't be picking winners and losers. We could look at them all at one time. And it is my understanding we did move this to the lottery calendar. Is
That's
that-
correct.
Okay, thank you.
And Representative Butler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. These dollars that we're using out of this lottery is Tennessee's dollars. I mean, it's the citizens' money. And so I think only rightly so that we should allow that Tennessee citizen the opportunity to use those dollars at the college or university they want to use them at, whether it's this one, whether it's Morris or whomever else that has already been approved. Now, I don't want to open that up to just a free-for-all, but this is an accredited school. And I know there's another piece of legislation for another school in West Tennessee. And I think it should be up to the citizen where they use their money and what college they go to. That's all I've got.
Thank you for your comments. Representative Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you, and I appreciate your comments and your support. One of the things I think is important too about Tennessee Promise Program is that those students have to give back to their community. And one of the things that is in Knoxville is it's a program, it's called Care Cuts. And so those cosmetologists go out into the homeless population and help give haircuts, barbering services to ensure that those individuals feel appreciated, feel recognized, feel seen. And so the people with their trade, with that skilled trade, are able to give back to others in their community. And so with that, I appreciate your support.
Thank you very much. All right, members, any further questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and we'll roll this to the lottery calendar. And thank you for coming and giving
Thank you,
us a
Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
preview.
committee. Appreciate you.
All right, that takes us to item number 4 by Representative Hale. If you'd like to make your way forward. Let's see this. All right, we have a motion and a second on House Bill 1914. Representative Hale, when you are ready, sir, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. House Bill 1914, this legislation would address the ever-growing issue of food insecurity on our college campuses. It would create the classification of a hunger-free campus, as well as establish a grant fund to assist in mitigation efforts on campuses. For a campus to be considered, it must hunger-free, it must establish a physical food pantry or partner with an already existing local one to the campus or accessible to students, establish a food insecurity task force, which must include at least 2 members of the student body. Funding from this grant would be used to establish, expand, improve campus food pantries, create meal voucher programs for dining halls, and any other food insecurity measures that the university sees fit. This section would was intentionally left open so that each campus can address the food insecurity in its own way. THEC would administer the grant. They recently released a report, about an 18-month report that shows that Tennessee, roughly 30% of Tennessee higher education students report experience food insecurity. And let me also say that the national average in that is between 23 and 34. So we fall kind of on the upper side of that average. Students who experience food insecurity often have lower test scores, poor mental and physical health, and oftentimes take fewer credits at a time, which keep them in school longer. I would share that this bill does have the support, of course, of THEC, the national organization Swap Out Hunger, the TBR, and the Tennessee Basic Needs Coalition, along with Second Harvest, have all voiced their support for this bill, and I stand ready for questions.
Thank you for that explanation, sir. Members, do we have any questions amongst the committee? I'm just curious to get a feel for the rest of the state or what areas you might be familiar with. I know in Knoxville, we've got Second Harvest. They've got a great, fantastic facility there, massive. They're able to provide several other kitchens in our area. I suspect that they help out at some of our college campuses. Can you tell me what you've seen maybe in your area or other schools that you're familiar with?
I know just from conversation and especially with TBR and with talking with Lou with THEC, the TCATs, that's one of the big across the state with food issues and getting pantries and those kinds of things started. So I think that's one of the big areas that there's definitely a need across the state.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I think if you look at a map at where some of our TCATs lie, they do fall out in some more more rural areas that could be tougher to get to for the Second Harvests, people like that to help supply. All right. Well, thank you. Anybody else? All right. Seeing no questions, members, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of passing out House Bill 1914 indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? And the ayes have it. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, committee and
see you
chair.
at administration. See, members, I believe that takes us to the end. Or am I missing one? Okay, yeah, we've wrapped up the calendar today. Without objection, we will stand adjourned. Seeing no objections, we're adjourned. You